We are excited to be here today. I know we were trying to do it last year and that did not end up happening. So with our Earth Month and Earth Week events, we typically host a large community-wide festival on campus where we invite outside nonprofits and vendors and really open it up to our students and staff and faculty on campus, but then also the more widely the broader community. And unfortunately, we aren't doing that this year. In a normal year, we're hoping to get back to that, but we have been working closely with Green Beverly in the city of Beverly, and they are doing a lot of events. So it's definitely worth checking out their calendar if you're looking for things to do. But we will be doing some events next week for our students on campus. And today, Megan and I just kind of want to give a quick overview of what we've done on campus, what we're planning for our future on campus, and then, as you mentioned, we're open to answering any questions at the end. So excited to share it all with you. I'm sure most of you know where we're located. So we are right on the coast in Beverly. So climate change and sea level rise, definitely a big concern for our campus as we look at a lot of our projects from an emergency preparedness and resilience perspective, and also looking at reducing our greenhouse gas emissions on campus to mitigate the effects of climate change and the potential for sea level rise. The campus was founded in 1939. We actually have about 5,000 students now, undergraduate and graduate, so it has grown quite a bit. And we have almost 1,000 employees in really 80 different academic programs. We have a nursing program, a hospitality program, business management program. So we kind of work cross-departmentally with all of those different programs to implement sustainability initiatives across the campus. Our office is just the two of us, so it's Megan and I, and we are situated under facilities, which is a great place for a sustainability office to be. We're engaged. Endicott has had a lot of new construction projects over the past few years and a lot of renovations, so it's great to be engaged in those. And then just the operations of our buildings, engaged with grounds, recycling and waste and compost on campus. It really makes sense as far as a sustainability office from a higher ed institution perspective, but you do see some other offices situated more academically, or if a college or university has an environmental institute or a sustainability center, sometimes you might see the office situated under there. But typically, I think you're seeing them working hand in hand with facilities or environmental health and safety or some sort of campus services type group. Our focus from our perspective is on climate, health, and equity. And as Brittany mentioned, using the campus as a living lab. We're in higher education, so the biggest impact we can have is to engage with our students and hope that they take some of the things that they learned relating to sustainability with them wherever they go throughout the country, outside of the country, private sector, nonprofit. So that's really the exciting part about being in sustainability in higher education. We do have 3 student fellows who are all Endicott students that work closely with us. We give them projects to work on, but also give them the flexibility to come up with their own projects. And they each kind of focus on a different sector. We have one that focuses on student activities, one that focuses on athletics, and then one that is more focused on dining and purchasing on campus. We also have work study students who help us manage recycling hands-on in the residential halls on campus. We are fortunate enough to have an energy fund. I have a small operating budget, but we're able to retain our rebates and incentives and grants that we are able to get by implementing energy projects on campus, and then able to spend them on future projects. So that's kind of how we're funding those infrastructure projects on campus that relate to sustainability and energy reduction. We also have a campus sustainability committee, which is made up of a few deans, faculty, students, and then staff. So that's a great opportunity to engage with different departments beyond what we're already doing and get feedback and really help us develop some of our programming and initiatives. The exciting thing that Megan and I are working on right now is we have drafted and are going through the process to formalize what will be the college's first sustainability plan. So that will outline a climate neutrality goal, a waste reduction goal, and a water reduction goal, and some of the ways that we're going to get there. And we're going to talk a little bit about what that'll focus on and how we're hoping to get there and what we've already done to get there today. We really have 4 pillars or focus areas that drives a lot of our work on campus. The first being climate and energy. Under each of these pillars, we kind of have subheadings or areas that we try to implement programs and initiatives under. So climate and energy is where our climate neutrality goal is going to sit. Endicott will turn 100 in 2039. So to align with that, we are going to work to achieve carbon or climate neutrality by that date. And then looking at how we're going to get there and what we're already doing on campus. With that goal, we're going to do everything we can to reduce greenhouse gas emissions on campus first, implementing energy conservation measures. So we're almost 100% LED, both indoor and outdoor on campus now. We've done a lot with variable frequency drives, upgrading to high efficiency boilers. I think looking out to the future, we still do have a handful of buildings on fuel oil, and rather than getting on those onto natural gas and fuel switching, our hope is to go straight to electrification and pilot that, with the goal being to electrify more and more buildings on campus as the grid gets cleaner, and hopefully some more offshore wind comes onto the grid as well, will really help with our emissions reduction. As I mentioned, we have a lot of new construction going on campus and renovations continuously. So we're always engaging with those project teams and engineers to see what we can do to implement green building. We are fortunate enough to have a 1 megawatt solar canopy over one of our parking lots. And then we have an almost 200 kW rooftop array on our new hockey rink. And this summer we are adding 2 levels to our new parking garage, and we just got approved to add a solar canopy on top of that. And that'll be another additional 300 kW. So we will have about 1.5 megawatts of solar PV on campus, which produces anywhere from 12 to 14% of the electricity we're using campus-wide annually, which is super exciting. Now, we know we won't be able to get to zero emissions just by implementing energy conservation measures and kind of maxing out on-site renewables. So we're also looking at alternative modes, which will be kind of studying projects for carbon offsets, whether they're in the region or at a global level, and making sure we're choosing projects that make sense and we feel like they're impactful, and hopefully creating opportunities for our students to get involved as well. And then exploring other opportunities such as virtual power purchase agreements, where we're financially supporting these renewable projects to happen, but they aren't necessarily happening on campus or feeding directly into the grid that's providing our electricity. Another focus area for us is health and equity. And these are kind of the subheadings that break out that group. A big focus on healthier materials and kind of a renewed focus on diversity and inclusion from a college-wide perspective. Healthier materials, we do a lot with procurement, and we do a lot looking at the indoor air quality of our spaces and indoor environmental quality. Fire codes have changed recently in the state. Sorry about that. We're able to purchase furniture that no longer has added chemical flame retardants. And we're also looking at other materials that are going into our spaces. We spend about 90% of our time indoors. So we're looking at reducing unnecessary added chemicals of concern, whether it's antimicrobials, PFAS, so fluorinated chemicals, VOCs, and formaldehyde. So doing a lot from that perspective. We do have a newly formed diversity, equity, and inclusion task force on campus, which is Definitely overdue, but exciting and great to see the college really putting a lot of effort into this. And we also just named one of our VPs the new chief diversity officer. So the college is really going to be doing a lot from that perspective and just looking at how inclusive the campus is. And with that, I am going to pass it over to Megan to talk a little bit about our campus operations, which has a lot going on.
Yeah, big section. Like Anthony mentioned, we are under facilities, so we do have a hand in all of these areas. So when we look at campus operations, it really covers all of these things. So procurement, transportation, landscaping and grounds, water, and then waste and recycling. And then two of our goals that will be under our sustainability plan have to do with waste and water. So our waste goal is to achieve 75% diversion for all the waste that's generated on campus by 2025, with eventually the ambition to be a zero waste campus. So typically that means zero waste would be over a 90% diversion rate. And if any of you aren't familiar with what a diversion rate is, it just means that the waste is not going to be sent to landfill or incineration. So we're finding other outlets for that material. And then for our water goal, that is to reduce water use by 25% by 2025 from our 2020 baseline. So in addition to our climate neutrality goal, those are the two goals that will hopefully be part of our sustainability plan. Oh, next slide, I forgot that I don't have control over that. So looking at some of our objectives under campus operations, so recycling programs, that is an area that I personally work a lot in, helping to manage our trash and recycling services and all of the specialty recycling programs for things like electronic waste, mattresses, tires, and more. We do a lot of different recycling programs. We also have a new waste hauler that we've been working with for the past year. So we're in our first year of contract with them. And they've been great so far. When they came in, they got all new dumpsters for us to use, and they have signage that we asked for that's specific to local recycling regulations. They were able to purchase a new truck with scales, so we have the ability to weigh our trash and recycling, which has been really helpful from a data collection standpoint and reporting. We also typically work with Windover Construction for a lot of our new construction and renovation projects. And they recycle over 90% of the construction and demolition material that is generated from our projects. So overall, we're doing a lot in that area. And basically the goal there is just to do our best to reduce the waste that we're producing and incorporating things like reusables where we can. And then when it comes to recycling, just trying to get that waste stream to be as clean as possible. And then we also have a pretty robust food waste program on campus. We collect all of the food waste that is coming from our dining locations, especially the main dining hall. They collect everything from back of house when they're doing their food prep, and then anything that goes on the conveyor belt after a student eats. All of that material is collected and is sent for anaerobic digestion. So that is when you take the methane gas from the organic material and convert it to energy. So all of that goes up to a facility in Maine where they go through that process, and it actually helps to power homes up in Maine. So that's a great program we have in place. And then looking at something like purchasing guidelines. So we did implement those a few years ago, and we're working on continuously improving those and expanding upon those. We work closely with Endicott's Director of Purchasing to make decisions about materials and contracts, and just trying to look at the amount that we buy and try to find efficiencies there, and then trying to make the most sustainable choices possible when we're buying things for campus. So those purchasing guidelines really cover everything from furniture, like I think Anthony mentioned earlier, to food and dining materials, and energy fixtures and all of those things. So they're a great resource for our staff. And then looking at transportation. So we really try to support micro mobility options like bikes and scooters, and then shared options like the campus shuttle or even the commuter rail, which is about 2 miles away from our campus. And overall, just trying to make the campus more walkable. That's definitely an area that we have room to improve on. There are a lot of students on campus who have cars, so parking is always an issue, and a lot of them choose to drive just to and from different places on campus to the gym or class or wherever they're going. So that's something that we're constantly working on. We would love to get a bike share program in place, and we have worked in the past with the city of Beverly and Salem State on and off to try to make something like that happen, because our goal would ultimately be to make that a regional program. So it's not something that's just restricted to our campus, but our students would be able to take the bikes to different places in the city or nearby towns, which would be great. And then I'll also add that as part of our transportation efforts, we do have 6 electric vehicle charging stations on campus that are open to the public. So if any of you are driving by and have an electric vehicle and need to charge it, feel free to stop here. So that's something that we're hoping to expand in the future. We don't really have a need for it right now, but that's an exciting part of our transportation plan. And then for dorm shower fixture upgrades, we did do a project a few years ago with National Grid that was at no cost to the college. It was completely incentivized by them. And we went through and we were able to retrofit all of our shower heads and faucets with low flow fixtures. So that was a great project. It ended up with a lot of water savings and energy savings, and therefore financial savings. So just looking at more projects like that and trying to incorporate low flow fixtures and looking at opportunities for water reclamation on campus. Water is definitely an area that we need to look at a little bit closely. We have collected data from it in the past, and we obviously have the water goal in place, but yeah, there's a lot more that we could do with water, and we're excited to get more into that area. And then lastly, under this section, we have beehives. So that's something that one of our sustainability fellows who works for our office got in place and is trying to do this spring. So the hives actually just arrived today on campus, which is really exciting. So we're in the process of setting those up and hopefully getting bees any day now. And we're hoping that will be an educational opportunity for students, and then also serve just the local landscape, because obviously they're pollinators and are great for the local environment. We have a great campus with beaches and trails and a lot of green space. So we want to make sure that that space is taken care of and managed responsibly. You can go to the next slide. And then our last pillar is experiential learning, and that encompasses courses and curriculum, using our campus as a living lab, different internships for our students. All of Endicott students are required to complete 3 internships during their time here. So, and one of them is a semester-long internship. So they're spending a lot of time doing that, and we want to support them as best as possible. And then also partnerships with local groups. You can go to the next slide. And some of our objectives under this area. So we advise a lot of students on their thesis projects and some different semester-long class projects. We also guest lecture in courses that are related to sustainability. For example, sustainable tourism. I have one on Friday for personal and community health. So we're invited to talk about a little bit what we do, and then just share ways for students to get involved or things that they could be working on, and try to advise them as best as possible with what they're interested in. We would love to do more to help faculty to develop courses focused on sustainability, or even find ways to incorporate sustainability into their existing classes. And then at some point in the future, I think Anthony mentioned this earlier when he was talking about sustainability offices and where they fit in different areas of higher ed institutions, but at some point it would be great for us to establish some kind of sustainability center that would house all of our sustainability efforts on campus. So that would be our office, and just finding ways to connect faculty around the topic of sustainability. So in the long term, that would be a great goal. And then part of that would hopefully be advising and highlighting faculty research and different programs like that. From a campus engagement standpoint, so as Anthony mentioned, we do have a sustainability fellow program that we plan to continue. We have 3 fellows right now. And then we also advise a bunch of clubs and organizations on campus. So I am the staff advisor for Sunrise Movement Endicott chapter, which I think was mentioned in the chat earlier. So that's an advocacy group. They are trying to focus on getting the Green New Deal passed and do a lot with environmental justice and issues and things like that. And then I'm also the advisor for the Endicott Environmental Society student group. And yeah, more from a campus engagement standpoint, we're hoping to develop a green office certification program in the near future to engage staff around different things that they can be doing in their office. And looking at data and visibility, so it's important for us to track and share what we do with the local community and peer institutions to highlight what we're doing as a college, but then also to share best practices and make sure that we're doing everything that we can. And part of this is regional collaboration. So we want to continue to be part of groups like this, want to continue to collaborate with municipalities and local nonprofits and private sector companies, and just try to help create a more sustainable North Shore area. You can go to the next slide. I think that's it.
Yeah, and that's really a quick overview of kind of the main focus areas and what we have going on campus. And that really is a quick outline of what our sustainability plan is going to look like. But day to day, we really have our hands in a lot of different things, and we work with a lot of different departments and a lot of different people. I think the biggest thing for us being sustainability professionals is just connecting people and making sure that these conversations are happening where maybe they weren't happening before. And I think higher ed is even more important place to be having those conversations again and being able to engage with students and help our faculty who may be doing research on climate change or energy or one of these related topics, and just being able to share that out with other people. So we really have a lot going on and looking forward to answering some questions. So thank you for having us.
Thank you so much, Anthony and Megan. That was a great overview. I mentioned it in the chat, but surprisingly, I've only been out of college for 6 years now. And something that I think was so important about my college time was the work that I did with my Office of Sustainability. So I can't applaud you two enough for the work that you're doing on campus. I think it makes a huge difference for the students to see it in real life, real time, and get their hands involved early. And, you know, college is definitely a time where you can change somebody's life. So it's exciting to see that you are working with the students so much.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that they are a lot more aware of these issues each year. The new class that comes in, they're always asking questions and reaching out to us with different ideas. So it's great.
Right. Yeah, it is cool how students are becoming more and more aware of the climate crisis and the fact that we have to work together to stop it. So as people want to throw questions in the chat, feel free. If you want to unmute, just go ahead and write in the chat that you want to ask your question out loud. We can do that as well. I'll just get started with one of my questions that I had. Megan, you mentioned that you all have a new waste hauler, and something that I've been working on for my company is actually trying to measure our waste better. So I'm wondering, who is your waste hauler? Because share your contact with me. I need a new waste hauler.
I think we're allowed to say that, right?
Yeah, you can say that.
Yeah, we work with Dynamic.
Yeah, and we just went through the RFP process last summer, so it was quite a process.
Okay, cool.
But they've been great. They're local to North Andover, and they work a lot in this area. And they do our construction demolition waste with Windover too. So they already were familiar with our campus, and they've been great to work with, and recommend them for sure.
Yeah, and one of the really exciting things and part of awarding them the contract was that they purchased a new truck for our campus specifically, and they're able to get weights by container. So now we know every pickup at every site, recycling versus waste, how much each container weighs. So it'll really help us track our waste data a lot more and That's been one of the difficult things looking at even some of the bigger companies. We had Waste Management prior, and I think they were on campus for 15 years or so. And we were certainly impressed by Republic and Casella as well, and save that stuff from a more local perspective, but not really up on the North Shore yet. Whereas Dynamic is smaller and based on the North Shore, but not so small that they wouldn't be able to service us. So that was one of the really exciting things, to be able to get weights on the container and have all new containers on campus. I think people did notice they looked nice.
Fancy trash containers, love it.
Yep.
Hey Anthony, can you stop your share screen? Your
Yeah, do you want me
share?
to?
Yeah, people want to see our faces.
Got it.
Great. So I think the next question Tom had around wondering if you all have thought about incorporating energy storage, batteries as part of some of the work that you all are doing with on-site solar.
Yeah, we definitely have. And from a financial standpoint and the size of our newer arrays, it's not making sense for us currently. I wish that we had another new like big megawatt canopy coming online where it might make sense. We've done all of our arrays under power purchase agreements. So looking at going back to our solar canopy that's already there and putting in battery storage isn't really making financial sense either. And this array on the parking garage expansion, I really wanted to incorporate it. But even just with where the SMART program is at right now and what we would be looking at for our PPA rate, it was just a much more difficult sell for the size of the array. So I hope that it is something that we're able to incorporate down the road, and it's a balance between what we need to do for emergency preparedness on campus, because we haven't done much as far as backup generators, or we've looked at CHP, and battery storage isn't really a good solution from that perspective. But being able to utilize it, we do participate in demand response. So on those peak demand days, and being able to make it more financially attractive and utilize it that way is certainly a good selling point. And so I hope that at some point in the future we will have it on campus, but right now we haven't found a good fit for it.
Anthony, do you do any DR, demand response programs now?
Yes, we do. And we do it, it used to be Enernoc, and then they were purchased by NLX. So we do it through them, and we have 3 buildings participating right now where it makes sense. And we just completed phase 2 of our new academic center, and it will probably make sense to bring on that building once it's complete.
It's kind of fun. Like while you were talking, we were getting moved around in space. It's like
I know.
other people can control where we go. I'm still getting used to it. Shout out to Debbie working the tech. She's awesome. Great. Well, I think did see one other question again from Tom, wondering if Endicott does any sustainability related professional career training, majors, minors. What does the campus look like for students to learn more about sustainability and environmental science?
Yeah, so we've tried to do more with curriculum, and Megan, you can talk a little bit to this. We have an environmental science major. We don't have a sustainability minor yet, but we are working on doing that. Megan, do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, no, I was going to say that too. We do just have the environmental science program with majors and minors, and that's typically how they come into it if they are interested in sustainability. I think a lot of our courses in business and hospitality do have sustainability focused courses, but there's no real set program. Like I mentioned, there's a sustainable tourism class, so that's obviously very focused on it. And I'm sure there's a business class that focuses on it as well. So there is the ability to take courses in that, but there's no sustainability major.
We have a pretty extensive interior design program as well, and they do a lot in regards to green building.
Yeah, there is the master's program. I think it's interior architecture is the master's, and one of the concentrations is in sustainability.
Yeah.
So a lot of students go through that process.
That's really the only specific one that we have right now. And as far as hands-on looking at the grad school programs, hopefully they'll be able to develop some more of that. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I guess looking at career development too, like I said, they have to do the internships while they're here. So we do try to support internships with sustainable minded groups and businesses.
Do you two teach any classes, or are you specifically just like working on the back end for the college?
We go in and lecture courses here and there, but
Cool.
don't full on, teach an entire course.
I think the two who are in our roles before, they both used to teach.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be a lot to manage both at the same time.
Right. Cool. Peter, I'm going to ask your question out loud. Feel free to elaborate if I don't elaborate enough for you. But Peter wants to know a little bit more about the energy fund that you use. And is this fund in addition to the OpEx budget, which I don't actually know what OpEx means?
Yeah, so we have our office operating budget, which is small, and depending on what we are spending it on, maybe we'll be able to finance a couple of the smaller projects. And then we also, being situated under facilities and operations, we fall under their capital budget. So we will get some of the larger projects approved under their budget as well. Historically, it's really just been one-off projects that we will go and present directly to our VP of Finance or CFO, and then that'll get presented either to the president or board of trustees, depending on the size of the project, and it may be approved outside of capital budget and outside of our operating budget. Energy fund was something that we established when I came in. We would typically or hopefully get to keep our incentives. So we work closely with National Grid on all of our energy projects. And we were historically being able to put rebates and incentives and grant money as well. We got a grant through Mass CEC for a VRF system, our new HVAC system in the new academic center. And I think typically they would let us spend the money on projects moving forward, but it wasn't a given. So now I've been able to make sure that we're able to retain that money. It carries over each fiscal year. So it's not really a green revolving fund like you might see at some other universities, where basically you have all of that money going into one fund and you can really take out basically a 0% interest loan for yourself, and then you're paying back into that based on your savings. We're just going to take the upfront incentive rebate or grant money and put it into that fund, and they're going to let us spend it on projects in the future. So we've been able to do that. But the college has been supportive of projects, and we've definitely had some larger size projects that have been approved. So I think coming in and taking a step back too, looking at our sustainability plan and from a strategic planning perspective, the college doesn't really have a 5-year capital plan, and they didn't have like a master campus plan. So they're starting to develop all that now that we have a new president over the past few years, and that's definitely a lot more helpful for us to kind of understand what's being worked on. I think from a facilities perspective too, looking at deferred maintenance and understanding where the college is going to spend money on buildings and being able to incorporate energy projects or sustainability projects with where they're already going to be doing projects that maybe they didn't think were related has been a big win-win.
Awesome. No, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
John just puts in the chat that it's kind of elaborating on the fact that sustainability is overarching, I would say, and it connects to a lot of other topics. So at Salem State, they were able to talk about sustainability with geography for 2 years, which I completely agree with. I was a geography minor, fun fact. Feel like I'm just talking about myself here, but I consider myself still pretty close to school, and I do a lot of talks with college students, so I'm making all the connections. Andrea says, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
That was about an 18-month effort at Salem State. We had to work with other departments, of course, but we kind of reached a consensus and about the name. We had environment in the title of the department at one time, but that got to be a little bit controversial. So the compromise, we were just thrilled with. We almost wish, we should have thought of it ourselves, just geography and sustainability. We didn't need to have the word environment in our name. So it's just been wonderful. It's who we are, and it reflects who we are, and so and it's kind of a phenomenon nationwide. Geography departments are doing a little bit of renaming to just reflect what we do. And a high school student coming out of high school does not know what geographers do, but they have interest in sustainability. And then they find out, gee whiz, that's what we do.
Right.
So it's been really been a good change for us. Thank you for letting me speak a little.
Yeah, no, I love it. We're all in the North Shore together. We got to stick together and make it the best place for everybody. So I appreciate you speaking up, John. Thanks. Andrea said it wants to know what kind of effort are there in regards to sustainable food sourcing on campus for dining. I love that question.
Yeah, Megan, you want to?
Yeah, so we do work closely with dining, and they have a staff member who's really interested in sustainability and is constantly working on some of the initiatives that we're interested in. We do get all of our seafood from Red's Best, which is right out of Boston. That's something that was started before either of us were here and has been going on. So that's great. And I think they do try to source it as locally as possible. Whenever they do have something that's from the nearby area, they showcase it in the dining hall or in the different cafes or satellite dining locations. So there's a chalkboard or something that'll say, this is from so-and-so farm. So they really do highlight that, which is great. And then we've had just one-off farmers markets and things like that to sell food to students. And yeah.
We have the gardens on campus,
Yeah,
so the dining services has used some of that. And we're just doing a lot more with our dining services to promote plant-based food options. There's definitely been, students have been a driving factor with that as far as more vegetarian or vegan options. And we have a new chef, and he's really done a great job of creating some new dishes and just promoting more plant-based food options. So that's been exciting to see.
We have Meatless Monday on Monday next week as part of Earth Week. And so at dinner time, they're going to expand vegetarian options to most of the dining hall.
It's all about those catchy names, right? I remember one of the programs that I did in college was Weigh Your Waste, where for a day we would make every student take the scraps off of their food and weigh what their waste was, and then they would have to write it down. And for a day we tracked food waste, and was very interesting. Yeah, it's all about education when it comes to campuses and talking to students about it. So no, I love all that. Well, anything else you two want to say to end on? Otherwise, thank you so much.
No, yeah, we appreciate you having us on here, and we're happy to engage with whoever. And if there are opportunities like Megan was talking about, our students are always looking for internships and opportunities to engage within the local community. So definitely feel free to reach out to us whenever, and we're happy to talk about sustainability.
I love it. Do you two mind just throwing your emails in the chat so people can quickly access those? Thank you everybody for joining today. Thank you, Anthony and Megan, again.
Thank you.
I can't say enough how much I think Office of Sustainability on campuses are hugely important. It's what brought me to my current job. And with that, Tom, I'm going to pass it back to you to talk about next month's presentation so everybody can join us again.
All right, thank you much, Brittany. Our next event will be on Wednesday, May 12th, the second Wednesday. And like today, it will be a Zoom meeting starting at noon. The topic will be recycling of lithium-ion batteries. as the production of EVs, electric vehicles, ramps up, we're also producing huge amounts of lithium-ion batteries. And for the moment, they are all mostly still brand new and doing an excellent job of zipping us around without any tailpipe emissions. But very soon, before you know it, we're going to be faced with end-of-life issues for all of these high-tech batteries. And so that's what we're going to address in May. Our speaker, Megan O'Connor, will update us on how her new company, the company name is Nth Cycle, which happens to be an NSIV, North Shore Interventures member, based right here in Beverly. That's the group that Tom Kinnaman runs over at the Cumming Center. Their company is developing novel ways to enable the clean and cost-effective recovery of critical minerals from these used up batteries. So it should be very interesting to see how their progress is coming along. So keep an eye out for an email announcing the start of registration for the May 12th event. And with that, thank you again for attending today. And of course, thank you to Megan and Anthony. Great job. Keep up the sustainable work at Endicott.
And extra points if you come to the presentation and show us a photo of the EV that you drive.
Thank you. Very nice.
All right. Thanks,
Thank you,
Everybody
everybody.
for coming.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye,
Nice
everybody.
job.
Thank you.
Thank you all.